Yeah, hi, this is Mike Lembeck with Remax Commercial, bringing you this week's SoCal Multifamily Sales Pulse. I wanted to go over the monthly charts this time and kind of review what happened over the last month and in relation to some of the previous months and years, so we can get an indication of where the market is right now, and then kind of potentially where it's headed with these recent interest rate increases and how much it's affected on the market itself. So let's get started. All right, looking at the Orange County monthly charts, the days to sell average, we saw an increase up slightly of about 11 days from the previous month. August, it was 26 days. Last month, we looking at 37, but overall, it's been about the same over the last 6 months or so. The indicators are that the market's still pretty strong there. The downward trend that we see just over the last year from the height of in February of 2021, so it would be about roughly a year and a half, we've seen a downward trend of days on market for Orange County. The number of active listings in Orange County has seen a leveling off and then a slight downward trend after a pretty significant increase all the way up into the summer months of June. So back in March, we saw this increase start and all the way into June, then a leveling off, and then now just a recent small decline from the previous month. And the number of new listings we're seeing coming on the market is down quite a bit, quite dramatically. Actually, it's about the fourth lowest it's been over the last 4 years. So we were all the way at 106 new listings per month, or in the month of June. Now we're down to 60, which is roughly a little bit less, or a little bit more than half. So, a big drop there. And then we see the number of sales has actually increased, which is kind of odd that you have less listings but more sales. So that is just an indication that the Orange County market is still in very strong demand. But we've still seen a number of sales dropping, and that also is in relation to the number of listings that were coming on the market. We were always having a crunch of less inventory and things moving more quickly from being listed to being sold, with the demand being so strong for Orange County. Now, taking a look at Long Beach, the days to sell average is up quite a bit in relation to some of the previous months. It's near the high end. Back previous months we had, most recently, previous months we had seen in the mid to upper 40s all the way down into the low 20s. So a big jump there, but we may see this come back down. But now this time of the year, it's tough to say that might happen, but we'll have to see what it looks like next month. The number of active listings has dropped from 175 last month to 152 this month. So overall, it's a little bit of a downward trend after being pretty stable over the previous months. The number of new listings, we see a big drop there, and that coincides with the number of active listings. We've saw 60 the previous month, and then half of that last month, now down to 30. And again, down here, we're looking at over the last 4 years roughly. This is the fourth lowest it's been. So the number of sales in the last month was up, and up at 35, 33, so it's pretty stable here all the way over the last, say, 6 months. But again, it's a downward trend overall of the number of monthly sales. Okay, take a look at Los Angeles County. The days to sell average is up slightly after being significantly downward trend there over the last previously 6 months. But well, of course, last month it was up slightly, or in August it was up slightly, and then it went up again a little bit here just last month. The number of active listings is kind of a downward trend there over the last 3-4 months. Not a lot, but still a little bit of a downward trend. And the number of new listings hitting the market, again coinciding with that total number of active listings, we've seen this downward trend of new listings over the last, say, 4 months. And it's not too bad in relation to the low points here across the last 4 years, but it's something to watch. And the number of sales, of course, has dropped with the recent interest rate increases. The demand has fallen just about everywhere across Southern California. And LA County is pretty indicative of it. In June, we had 434 sales. Now we're down in the high 200s at 283. So another thing to watch there is see if that drops next month. Looking at San Diego County, we have the days to sell average, the same as last month, and still roughly in this same range that it's been over the last, say, 6 to 8 months, even further along into the year of June of 2021. We saw the days to sell average was at 14. That was a low point, but now we're up here. But again, this downward trend that we're seeing. The number of active listings has fallen over the last 2 months. After peaking at 1305, we're now at 1252. The number of new listings has been dropping significantly over the last 3 months. Now just 85 new listings last month, when we were typically hitting 154, 152 back in March and April of this year, and then even in June we had 147. So we're looking at almost a little bit more than half of new listings every month from what the peak was up here recently. And the number of sales we've had is, of course, have fallen also, and the trend even after last month hitting 77, now down to 43. But again, this is an overall downward trend. We're seeing sales falling all across Southern California. Taking a look at Riverside County, the days to sell average was up over the last couple of months, now at 49, but still, roughly running in the same range that it was previously earlier in the year and into last year, the middle of last year. The number of active listings has dropped a little bit from what it was previously. After it had increased for about 4 months, now we see just a little bit of a drop this last month, September. And the number of new listings has seen an overall downward trend. We're now down to the 4th lowest we've been in the last 4 years, with just 33 new listings last month. And the number of listings overall, we are down to number of sales we had was just 16 last month. That's a really low point. Here we had even back in April, January, and June, we had lower sales in those months, but this is quite low for San Diego County. As you can see, this has been dropping pretty significantly from 52 back up here in December and down to 16. So quite a bit of a difference there for Riverside County. Let's see, so we take a look at San Bernardino. The days to sell average has been pretty stagnant here over the last 4 months. After hitting it at 50, it's now down to 33. Still strong demand there, obviously, for the days to sell average to be that low in San Bernardino. The number of active listings has dropped a little bit over the last 3-4 months, but still relatively the same of what it had been earlier this year and last year. And the number of new listings hitting the market has been a downward trend over the last 4 months. We're now down to just 49 listings. Again, this is probably the 4th or 5th lowest it's been over the last 4 years for new listings in a month. And the number of sales has only gone down just slightly from the previous month, and still roughly within the same range over what it has been over the last 6 to 8 months. But wait to see if this number drops again this coming month for October, to see what the market's doing and further indications on how the interest rate increases are affecting the market. All right, that wraps up the review of the stats for this week's SoCal Multifamily Sales Pulse. I encourage you to visit my website and look at the Sales Pulse monthly, weekly reports on the Let's Talk About It section to take a look at what's going on with some of the recent headlines and articles. There's links in there linking the articles or the information in the article so that you can review those on your own and at your leisure. Again, if you have any questions or anything you want to know about the market, feel free to reach out to me. Give me a call, send me an email. If you need an evaluation on your property and your situation, I'd love to be able to give you an evaluation and an analysis of what you might be able to do, either from a sales standpoint or from a 1031 exchange. And then also take a look at all the stats for last week's sale and what happened with the market and the weekly sales that occurred over the last week by looking at the sales comparables that on my website here for each individual county. You can look at each one of them as they appear from the MLS on a live MLS link or the PDF link. We've also got the absorption rates, the cap rates, and the gross rent multiplier. So a lot of information there for you to analyze and consume and see what's going on with the market. Again, feel free to reach out to me. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope something good happens to you today. See you next week.